What's going on, guys? Today I want to talk about how I got my first apartment complex about 1 year ago. So, for those of you who don't know, I actually started off investing in single family homes. I bought a single family homes in the Bay Area, California. So, everything was around close to $1 million. And, I was buying one a year, started house hacking it, and quickly realized by year three that this is not scalable. So what I did was I got a lot of education in regards to apartment complexes. I put in at least 10,000 hours between podcasts, YouTube, trying to read books, everything. I try to consume every single piece of content possible about apartment complexes because I was just very intimidated. Like my mindset going in was apartment complexes is a game for the rich, right? I don't know anyone that's ever owned an apartment complex in my family, any of my friends. I don't know anybody who owns apartment complexes. So it was very intimidating for me. So to kind of help mitigate that, I wanted to get as much education as possible. So after kind of getting a lot of education, the key is to take action, and that's what I decided to do. So now that I at least understood the basics of apartment complexes, so all you need to understand is how to evaluate apartment complexes. So that's the NOI divided by the market cap rate. So the net operating income equals the income minus expense. So as you increase the income or lower the expense, your NOI increases, and that will increase the value of the apartment complex. And that's how you do, large value add cash out refis. So that was one key major point of understanding apartment complexes. The next one is how to underwrite it. And honestly, I do a quick and dirty underwriting method. Honestly, you just take the gross income, the expense is 50%, and then for your loan terms, you typically assume 25% down. I used to assume 5% interest, but given today's interest climate, maybe assume 6 to 7%, or you can talk to a lender and use whatever they quote you, and then a 30-year amortized loan, right? And then from there, you can kind of calculate what your cash flow will be day one, and then what your pro forma cash flow will be based on the increased rents. So once you do that, and then lastly, it's just how to do due diligence, right? Like, and what I emphasize is you have to do inspect all units. So if you have a 100 unit apartment complex, you're going to inspect all 100 units. So in a later video and also in my course, I do teach all the steps from A through Z on how to get your first apartment complex in a very simple and easy to understand way, just like all these videos here. And the only difference between my course and these videos is the course is a little bit more thorough. This is kind of more of a Cliff Notes version, and the course is more structured, right? Here I'm kind of just jumping back and forth off the top of my head, so it may not be as organized versus my course. It's very streamlined in terms of modules and sections. So if you have any questions or interested in the course, you can email me directly, or there's a link down below to the course. But back to the story. So my first apartment complex I closed on was in Oklahoma City. It was a 26-unit apartment complex that I bought for $520,000. And a lot of you are thinking, how can you get an apartment complex for $520,000? Like, my mind was blown by that because I'm from California and all my single family homes were about $1 million. So to me, $500,000 gets you a condo in California. So when I tell people this story, they don't believe me, but I'm here to share it. So it was a 26 unit that I got for $520,000, and I got it off market by sending out direct mailers. So I use PropStream for my data, and I use Yellow Letter Complete to outsource my lettering campaign. And I was sending out 300 letters a month for 6 months. So I sent out around 1,800 letters. The average response rate is about 3%. So every month, if I sent out 300 letters, about 10 people would reach out to me. And then from there, I would interview the owners to basically ask about the property, ask about, the rent roll, the past 12 months of profit and loss statements, as well as why they want to sell, how long they own the property, to see if there's any opportunity for creative financing. So I went through all that, but the owner was very pleasant to work with. He was actually a lawyer. He owned the 26 unit for about 25 years, so he actually owned it free and clear. And he was just looking to retire because he worked as a full-time lawyer, and also he was self-managing this apartment complex himself. So he literally had one unit that he used as his office, so that he would do the self-management himself. He would do the pest control himself, like he was a licensed pest control operator, and then also he would do his own maintenance himself. And he's been doing this for like 20, 30 years on top of his uh, lawyer job. So like, he was probably burnt out. He looked like he was in his mid 60s. And he just told me, I just want to retire and enjoy the benefits of my apartment complex. Like it's basically his retirement nest egg. Right. And so, it was very nice. He gave me, the T12 and the rent roll very fast. It was interesting. He only wanted to communicate via email because he wanted everything written. That's kind of how lawyers operate. And I just catered to him. So I just communicated directly with him through email. He responded very frequently. And after giving me the documents, I typically ask, so well, what does a good price look like for you? I want to get them to make an anchor, and that's key in negotiations, right? And he just said, no, you give me a price, and that's very common, right? Just know it's very common. In the course, I teach 3 methods on how to make an offer. So one is the net operating income divided by the market cap rate. So Oklahoma is an 8 cap market. The second method is a price per unit based on sales comps. And for Oklahoma, it was $40,000 per unit based on the sales comparables. And the last method is a tax assessed method, which is actually the cheapest method, and that's what I made my offer based off of. So, tax records are public information, and so I just went online, Googled the address, found the Oklahoma City tax assessor's office, punched in the address, and then I just looked up the tax bill, and it said that it was worth $520,000. So that's exactly what I offered. I drafted up a letter of intent, presented to him, and he immediately signed it in 2 or 3 days. And just like that, I was under contract for my first, 26 unit apartment complex, right? Like I did this off market, no broker was involved. So I did everything myself, right? The letter of intent is very simple. It's a 1 letter document. In my course, I give the template out. And then in terms of the actual purchase sale agreement, like honestly, it's not hard to fill out. Like Oklahoma City, they have their purchase sale agreement online. So you can ask, title insurance company that you're working with what the form is, or you just can Google it. That's what I did. I just Googled Oklahoma City purchase sale agreement, and it's pretty standardized, pretty easy to fill out, pretty self-explanatory. Like if you maybe put like 2, 3 hours in reading it, like you can fill it out pretty easily. And that's what I did. And once I went under contract, that's when due diligence happened, right? So what does due diligence entail? So it entails a full inspection of all 26 units. So I coordinated with my property manager that on this day I want my property manager there. I was going to be there, and then I hired an inspector who specializes in inspecting apartment complexes. And on inspection day, I actually flew out from California to Oklahoma to be there. I'm no expert in terms of inspections, but I just was there to learn, right? Like in this industry, you always have to be humble and learn. No matter how many units you have, you're always learning something new. So, I flew out there, met the property manager, met the inspector, at 8 a.m. in the morning. So it was early. That's like 6 a.m. California time. So very early for me. I'm not a morning bird, but when you're there, you better be prepared. Get a cup of coffee, go to Starbucks, get a notepad, uh, turn off your phone, put it on airplane mode, and make sure you have a lot of data because you're going to be taking a lot of photos. And basically, what I did was the inspector, there's a lead inspector and there's 2 other inspectors. And we walked into all 26 units, right? So it took 8 hours. It's a long day. It's going to be a very long day. That's why I said get your coffee, be mentally fresh, and do not be distracted of anything else. So, the owner was also there as well because the owner was self-managing. So if, there wasn't self-management, then, that the current property manager needs to be there as well to open the doors for you, right? So we need access to all the units, and the tenants must be notified by the current property manager, current owner, that we're going to do an inspection, right? So, we're all there. And typically what I recommend is you want to follow the lead inspector and ask some questions, right? Like you go into the unit, like usually they go to the kitchen, they're going to test the hot water to check for any plumbing clogs. They're going to check the oven, they're going to check the microwave, they're going to check the furnace, the water heater, the bathtub, everything. They're going to test A through Z so that there's no surprises, right? And then as you follow the inspector just tell them, hey, like, for the first one, can you kind of just teach me as you go along? But subsequently, I'm just going to ask you questions as they arrive. Right. So, I'm going in, I'm following, I'm learning, I'm listening from the lead inspector. I'm also taking a lot of videos and photos as I'm going along to jog my memory. So, kind of as a pro tip, you use your phone, you take a picture of the unit number, so unit number one, and then from there, you start taking pictures and videos of that unit, and then you'll know exactly what unit it is. And unit two, take a picture of it, and then take pictures of the inside. So, that's kind of a pro tip that I did. But just know that the inspectors take a lot of photos too. So, I mean, like, you'll be good in terms of photos. So after you do it, you kind of get the rhythm and you see it, how they inspect each unit. And then after that, they usually bring in a roof guy to see the roof's good. In my case, the roof was end of life. Oklahoma has, tornadoes and hailstorms. So, knowing that, the roof need to be replaced, and don't be afraid by that, right? Like with old value add apartment complexes, this is very common that things need to be repaired. They're going to scope the plumbing line to see if there's any major clogs. They're going to look at the condensers, the electrical panel to see if it's up to code. Like I think like half my electrical panels were recalled due to safety hazards. They're the Zinsco electric panels that are recalled, so I had to basically fix like half the electric panels in order to appease my insurance company that I was working with. And then basically they do all that, and then it seems very intimidating, right? But like I said, I have a checklist that I created based on my experience on how to go through due diligence. And at the end, I basically asked the inspector, are there any deal breakers that would make you run away from this deal? And they'll tell you what it is, right? And you don't want any surprises. Like I said, you can do all these inspections, everything, inspect all 26 units. There's always surprises, right? Like when I took over the unit, tenants stopped paying me. I had a major like plumbing leak in one unit. So, things always happen regardless of how much due diligence you've done. And basically, um, you know, I just asked them at a high level, like any deal breakers, what needs to be fixed immediately. And then once you kind of compile that list, you want to bring a general contractor and get a price associated with that list. Right. And that's exactly what I did. I basically got my inspection report, which was like 150 pages. And in the course, I actually go over one of my inspection reports. It seems intimidating, but it's not really once you kind of know the key points to focus on. But basically, I got the list of everything that needs to be fixed. I gave it to my property manager, who gave it to his general contractor, and I basically got a price for everything. Now, I got a quote for a brand new roof, brand new. I think I need to replace half the water heaters because they're either end of life or not in code. I got a quote to replace half the electrical panels that are recalled, and I got a quote for like a lot of potholes um, in the driveway or in on the road. So I compiled all that, and that was $120,000. Right? That seems very scary, very intimidating. But keep in mind, these quotes, because they're not spending that much time looking at it, they kind of highball it, which works in your favor, right? Because what I did is I just gave to the owner, hey, this is the inspection report. These are all the deficiencies. This is a quote to fix all these deficiencies. I want to ask for $120,000 in seller repair credit. And two things, right? When you send that to the owner, two things happen. They can just say, no, this is sold as is. That's what he told me at first. But then he also said, oh, but if you lower it and just focus on a couple things, I may consider giving you seller repair credit. And by giving this $120,000, I knew he wasn't going to agree to $120,000. And honestly, if he rejected it flat outright and gave me no seller repair credit, I would still close on the deal because it was that good of a deal. So just know that like this is a cherry on top. If you can get it, great. But don't make your deal based on getting the seller repair credit, right? Unless it's a deal with not as great margins. And it scares the owner because they think, oh my God, I don't have $120,000 to fix all these issues. And if he keeps the property and doesn't close or sell it to me, eventually he's gonna have to fix all these issues. So I just said, you know what, let me run it by my property manager, see what's the most pressing need. And after talking to my property manager, we decided we need to fix the roof. That was end of life. And I said insurance will not approve that roof. And then I asked for the electrical panels because they're recalled and that's a safety fire hazard that my insurance company did not like. And then lastly, the potholes, because that's also a safety hazard. So that came out to be around $60,000. I drafted an amendment to the contract asking for a $60,000 repair credit. and he agreed, right? That was amazing. He helped lower my down payment, right? Because I was doing 25% of $520,000. Can't do quick math, but I think that's around maybe $140,000, and I got $60,000 off that. So my down payment was roughly, $80,000, which is about 15% of the purchase price. Like, where else could you get 15% down on a purchase price? So that's why apartment complexes are amazing, and that's why I love them, right? And after that, after the due diligence, I was okay with it. So I decided to close. I use a local title insurance company, and then we ended up closing without any delays. In terms of lenders, I use Bank of the West. If you reach out to me, I can connect you with a couple of the lenders that I use directly on deals. And I had, with Bank of the West, it was 25% down, 4.2% interest, fixed for 10 years, 30-year amortized loan. So, my loan was around 390,000. And I think my monthly payment is roughly around 1,900 a month. Day one, the gross income was around $10,000. I think about 24 of 26 units were occupied. So it had good occupancy around like 90, I think above 92%. And, the expenses, since they're all bills paid, it was roughly around maybe 60%, which was reasonable. And, that was just day one, right? But my vision was to basically do renovations on the 26 unit. So I got quoted around $8,000 per unit. So I get a brand new kitchen, brand new laminate countertops, brand new LVP flooring, a fresh coat of paint, a new light fixture, a new bathroom vanity, a new bathtub kit. So basically a brand new unit. And my property manager projected that we can rent out the 2 bedrooms for $700 a unit. So the current rents are around $450 per unit, all bills paid. So that means that the landlord covers the water, the gas, electricity. So, tenants just pay a flat $450 a month. But in reality, the utilities are about $100 a month. So I was pocketing around 350. So basically, after about $700 of renovation, or $7,000 of renovation, I can almost double my rent, $700, and the tenant would cover their own utilities. So that they'd cover their own gas, they'd cover their own electricity. So that's a huge value add, right? So if you take $300, let's say a month, times 26 units, times 12 months, and you divide that by, that's how much your NOI has increased, and you divide that by an 8% cap rate, that's how much value you just added, right? So let me do the math here real quick on that. So once again, let's say I increase each unit by $300 times 26 units times 12. I just increased my net operating income by about $93,000. And if I divide that by the 8 cap rate, I just increased the value of my apartment complex by $1.1 million. So is that $7,000 per unit renovation worth it? So in renovation, it's 7,000 times 26 units. That's about $200,000. So I spent $200,000, raise the rents by $300 per unit, and I forced appreciation by $1.1 million. So now it's worth around, $1.6 million, right? And that's the power of apartment complexes. And my goal is to do a cash out refi. I'll pull out all my down payment, all my renovation costs, plus probably make around $400,000 on top of that. And from there, I can buy another bigger apartment complex and scale. So, I took over the apartment complex. To be honest, 3 tenants stopped paying me because they knew that, hey, a new owner is in town. He's going to raise the rents. So they stopped paying. In Oklahoma, it's a 15-day eviction notice, which is very nice and easy. But they already left the moment I served the eviction notice. So, of course, my occupancy decreased. But that's okay because I was planning on renovating the units anyways. But just expect that, right? When you take over, people will stop paying, people are going to leave, and people are going to make repair requests, right? Like the moment I took over, like 3 of the tenants, it was during summertime, like, hey, my AC is broken all of a sudden, right? Because it's hot. So like, you're going to have maintenance requests, people are going to stop paying. And people, so, I went from 2 units vacant to about like 6 vacant. And that was okay because I was going to renovate those 6 units anyways. So I had my property manager, he's my general contractor, and to start renovating immediately. But during COVID, there was a labor shortage, so the crew was backed up on another project by about 6 months. So I had a 6 month delay in terms of renovation. We ordered kitchens from Home Depot, and that was delayed by about 3 months. So now I'm at a 9 month delay, right? So I literally own this apartment complex, and it took me 9 months before I started renovating, and I actually started renovations back in June, and it's now October. So about 4 months. I finished about 5 units so far. No, sorry, 6 units so far, and maybe two more will be finished in about end of the month. And we just rented out a 1 bedroom newly renovated unit for about $700. So I thought I was gonna get a 2 bedroom for $700, but now a 1 bedroom 700, and I think a 2 bedroom will at least be 800. So the rent is a lot more than I expected, and over the year rents did go up, right? But if the rent is $800 per unit, or let's say 700 or 750 on average, that increases my NOI, and that's going to increase the value. So, maybe the appreciation I thought was 1.1 million, maybe it's now 1.4, and I can pull out even more money, right? So that's the beauty about real estate. But, after I finish renovating about 8 units, I'm probably going to pause. And then why do I want to pause? Because we need to rent out those 8 units to increase my cash flow. And once I have that increased cash flow, I can determine if it's worth it to continue renovations, right? If I have enough money to do it. Or I just can do a cash out refi, pull up money, and then take that excess money or the money, my down payment and my renovation fund again, and then continue renovating the rest of the apartment complex. But what's very common is you want maybe half your units to be nicely renovated at the higher price point or rent point, and then you want the other half to be the more affordable options. So you kind of get a nice mix of each. So maybe at most I'll renovate maybe 13 out of 26. Um, so that's my goal, right? So after I finish renovating all the units, it's probably gonna take me another 6 months. So that's about, what is it, almost 2 years. And then you want to stabilize those tenant base for about a year. And then that's when you present the property for a cash out refi at 75% loan to value, right? So hopefully interest rates, they're terrible now and they keep on going up, but maybe in a year and a half, hopefully interest rates go down. So that's the key about getting, I have a 10-year fixed at 4.2. So I just can sit still for as long as I need until interest rates go down. But I want to increase the velocity of my money. So that's why I want to do a cash out refi. And even if I have to pay a high interest rate, it's okay, right? I don't mind doing that. So, um, overall, that's kind of a high level view of my first apartment complex. I know I went over quite a bit at a high level, but I want to create more videos talking about this 26 unit. If you have any questions, please leave a comment down below. Um, Once again, I create a course to kind of share my experience on getting my apartment complexes and to help expedite your journey. So if you're interested about the course, there's a link down below, or you can also reach out to me directly or send a comment. I check all the comments. And lastly, if you found this video helpful for you, please like and subscribe, and check out my next video. I try to post a video every Wednesday and every Saturday, um, just sharing about my journey, right? So hopefully I'll see you in the next video, and thank you so much for watching. Have a good one.